Hello everyone. We're gonna be hopefully finishing up Obduction today. But today I got a treat for you. We're gonna be getting a relatively rare angry Caprolux rant at the beginning of the stream. Because as you can see, I've made it past the door. And the amount of things I did to go through it, I did not like. But before I get fully started on ranting and raving, I want to thank Zytron and Moritz. Thank you so much for following. I appreciate that. But alright, let me start, because it's been approximately, let's see, I'd say about 14, 15 hours after I figured out, I say figured out, after I did what I had to do to get through this door. And, yeah, I'm not happy about it. I'm still mad about it, actually. In fact, just thinking about it, I was, like, calm right before I started streaming, then I started thinking about this, and I was like, actually, you know what, I'm kind of up in arms right now. But yeah, so, you know, for people that watch me, they know I don't really like to get help, and I don't really like to give up on puzzles and such. You know, I wanna put my brain to the test. I wanna keep trying to go for it. So I don't really give up. I have much more determination than the average person, and I spent literally hours on this. Hours. I was like, I can't stream Obduction until I get past this door. So I was like, I gotta figure out what to do next. And you know, that's all well and good. I was just like, I can't really get past this door. You know, like this little device opens that door. There must be a device that opens this door. Somewhere. And I was like, I guess I just gotta figure out how to get to that. And so I wander around the area. I'm like, I don't really see any device that seems to help with that. This guy sure isn't doing anything. I was aware that there's supposed to be a number on the screen, but I was like, maybe that's for, you know, who knows what that's for. Because obviously, that's been gone since any build post 2019. So I was like, fine, well, what do we got here? We got this old log, the people, and all the Villains and the Mofang and whatnot, the Polyarchs, the Arai, and I was like, oh cool, let's explore, let's look at some of the pods. And I was like, who's someone that I've kind of known about throughout the game? And I'm like, oh, Farley. I'm like, yeah, let's look at Farley's pod, and I pull up. You know, I go get the number. I take a picture of the number in the photos after I translate it. It's one of these. Who knows which one? Anyways, I go to look at Farley's spot. And I'm like, yep, there's Farley, and I get the achievement. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, that's so neat. I'm just like glad I figured that out. And I'm like, well, I feel like that's more or less all that's here is just like a fun, like, look around, there they all are sort of thing. And so I don't think anything of it. I'm just like, alright, time to move on. And I get to this point before I even start connecting the hearts in any of the trees or anything. So I figured that out. I figured out how to connect Hunrath to two of the other places. I even figured out how to go to the Mofang world and connect that tree. And then I was like, okay, well, all other roads seem to lead back here. I gotta get to this tree. I gotta connect this sucker. And I'm like, okay, what can I see in the scene, you know? I'm like, there must be something. Because again, every other door, I've had a little numpad thing that I just like take everything out, then I can walk through. So I'm like, clearly that's not here. There must be a way around. And so I scour every inch of this place. I go back through the gauntlet because I'm like, oh, maybe something's in the gauntlet that I missed. I wander around there. You know, I really study the map. Here's the sign-in area. Here's where you go on the rail, and then where all the shooting starts happening around this point, and then you get here. And then I'm like, there's a structure here, but that's like not even on there. Or it's like this one or something. And I'm like, well, there's a pathway that's supposed to lead to it, but then I go there and I'm like, oh no, that's the one where I'm like, this is the structure where you actually knock out the Mofang device so that you can transport around. And so I'm just like, man, I must have really missed something. And I was like, maybe I should start it. I literally started a new game because I was like, I must have missed something. Or forgotten about something. So I'm like, it's either two things. There's either knowledge to me that, like, I should have and I just didn't get it. Or there's something that I haven't messed with yet that I'm not aware I can mess with. So I'm like, I really gotta figure this out. So this, I see this little teleport spot. Is from Soria or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's in like the Hoonrath place. I'm like, but maybe maybe I must have to get outside the dome somehow. So I'm rereading through all the logs. I'm sort of understanding what the story is going on, what's happening. And I'm like, I don't know if I took a picture of it, but I'm like, oh, I'm like, the bleeder, like, they're saying that they're going to try to knock out the dome, basically. And I'm like, oh, the more and more I do with connecting the hearts, the more CW builds. Which also, I thought CW was a bad guy, but then I went and, at the beginning of my other game, re-looked through Farley's log, and she's just like, don't trust anyone. And she's like, CW may be nearby. But she wasn't saying to not trust CW. She was saying, like, he may be, you might see him around. So I was like, oh, okay, well, misread that, I guess. So I'm less suspicious of him. But yeah, I was just like, alright, I gotta figure out. Anyways, his battery plan is he's gonna make, like, a big teleport device. Is what he's gonna do. He's gonna try to take all the take the trees and then hook it up to essentially a giant power source, which he clearly has hooked up, and then it will become just like the small swappers. Because reading through how these work, I'm like, okay, so there's a battery added to amplify the ambient membrane power. That way they can swap on demand. And I'm like, oh, that's why he's adding all these panels and has it hooked up to this huge battery type device, is so that he can link up the trees and then swap everything back so that, humans will go back to Earth, the Mofang and the Arai will all go back to their places and all that. So I was like, okay, cool, like I get it now. And I'm like, but that still doesn't really help me with my situation. I fuddled around with this for a while because I was like, this has the, the Soria, like, stuff around here. And I'm like, and here's this dead Mofang. And I'm like, so maybe there's a way to get a seed here. Because the notes also talked about, like, seeds, they'll reopen after like a certain amount of time due to the ambient power in the area or whatever. And I was like, maybe I do actually have to find a seed somewhere to put it in this device, and then I can transport away. And I'm like, I'm searching everywhere. I'm trying to look in every little corner. I searched all in this area. I'm like too deeply thinking into every note, like, I saw this in the bar, and I was like, what do we got on this map? What's interesting about this map? And I'm like, we got these, all these black dots and things. I was like, okay, well, this is the big battery. I'm like, sure. And I'm like, this is the water tower. I'm like, interesting. I was like, does that mean that the battery and the water tower are like swap points? But obviously I didn't find anything around there. I'm like, there's also these 3 train cars that are highlighted. And then all the supplies. So I was like, must be something over there then. I'm looking through each of these little areas and I'm like, yeah, I don't see anything to click on. Seems like it's just for sort of whatever. So I'm like, man. And again, this is this is throughout hours of me just wandering back and forth, trying the same thing over and over and over. And another plan I had, I was like, okay. I'm like, clearly they were like at this stage where they're trying to, I guess, put everyone in the pods or try to like keep everyone safe. Like at this point, they've clearly, the Mofang have clearly done something that they hate because it's all in blue ink, so that the Mofang can't read it. And I was like, the information has to be here. And so I was like, I get it now. I was like, CW is remaining, and then these 3 are remaining. They're all remaining so that they'll be able to take care of the swap or whatever their original plan is, because I think Farley wasn't super into the battery plan. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, hands-on swap trigger. And they, I was like, okay, trigger task. Trigger reswap immediately after swap. Any delay increases the risk of detonation in a home sphere and the risk of a remainder being disabled in Mofang. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I actually just have to go to a like very specific spot and I have to swap, then immediately swap again, and then that will activate it. And I'm like, maybe that destroyed, like the seed in this area was triggering that reswap. And I was like, maybe that's what I have to do. And the other area where I saw this note, the one where you can go to Mofang, the Mofang world. So I was like, okay, let me do that. And I go here, I like swap back and forth a couple of times, like, just again and again, and I'm like, this isn't doing anything. I'm trying to think, I'm like, maybe I have to like, because you can't walk away once you start the swap, so I'm like, I can't, run out or something. And I'm just like, this isn't really going anywhere. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe these aren't the right locations, because it talks about how Ruko and Shavar, they're the ones who, I guess, leak the information or whatever. And so I'm like, who are these 2? And I'm like, oh, Shavar's a Mofang. And then same with Ruko. So I was like, I wonder if they know something. So I pull up their pods and I'm like, oh, that's what the Mofang look like. They didn't have different colors? I didn't know that. So I was like, okay, well, I guess whatever to that. That clearly didn't bring up anything new. And like with all these pods, I'm not about to go looking through every single pod, trying to figure out what each number is on the device, put in some random numbers or whatever. I'm like, there's these marked out labels, which I'm wondering now if that's like, if maybe those were other Mofangs or something. I don't know. Also pull up a polyarch, because I was like, oh, what do these guys look like? And I'm like, oh, they just look like big bugmen. Cool. So I'm like, man, well, that didn't go anywhere. And I'm like, okay. And the new game, I'm like, okay, well, it looks like, let me see if I can pull up a good map. I'm like, it looks like the waterfall, or, like once all the hearts are connected, I should be able to get to an area by the waterfall. which I haven't been able to get up to since the beginning, since obviously the elevator there worked on the water running down there. So I'm like, okay. Like, well, I have to get to the tree first if I want to get back there. Like it all points to the same thing. I have to get that tree connected. And I was like, and I can't do anything with it, prior, of course. It was kind of funny going through it again. I was like, oh, it's, if you know how to get the codes, then it's very simple to kind of speed run this game, because you can immediately get into the tower or like wherever once you get the power on. So I'm looking at everything. I'm like, okay, I was like, ah, yes. I'm like, there is a point to teleport behind the waterfall. Before but you can't get there because the Mofang device is still up and running. So I'm like, I can't get there then until, I get past the door. But I'm like, this place has to lead to the bleeder so that I can actually activate the battery plan or whatever. So I'm tearing my hair out at this point, because each day that I haven't been streaming this game, I have played through it a little and tried to figure out what to do. And I'm keeping in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know someone told me there's a number on that little screen, right here. But apparently they took it out, so I was like, well, there has to be some sort of clue, I'm like, these are the people that made Myst. They went, they would want everything to be relatively logical. But by this point, I'm driving myself crazy, walking through each map every other way that I can, rereading through all the notes, being like, what could it be? What could possibly be the solution? I just got nothing. I stared at this for a bit. I was like, this is the last relative clue I got. And I'm like, but that doesn't really match the little Villain device, because it's like an X instead of a cross. And even then it's like, or I guess, I was like, maybe I have to turn it sideways and mess with it this way. But the side nodes you can't attach to each other. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, that must not be it. And I try messing with the other one. I'm like, maybe there's a secret pod here I gotta try to get. So I kind of finagle with this a bit. I was like, maybe if we connect these three and then or connect these two, then connect these two, even though I can't do it, directly. And that led to nothing, so I was like, okay, not that. So I was just like, yeah, I'm kind of, last night I was finally alright, you know what, I'm ready to give up. I hate that I'm gonna have to do this, but I guess I should just look up a walkthrough and try to figure out, how the hell do I get past this door? Because again, I'm trying to view this from every angle. I'm like, okay, this building has smoke coming by it, so I should be able to see that in other areas or whatever. I'm trying to peek out all the windows of all the buildings, trying to look up and over and be like, is there a separate pathway that I have to go down? And, I found nothing. So anyways, I finally give up. I'm like, alright, let's just see the walkthrough. And I pull up a walkthrough, and it's a relatively old one, and it gives me the hint of the number. And it was like, there's a blue 222 on the screen next to the dying villain. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, let me work with that. Let me take a look-see. And so I was like, I'm like, is there a 222 in here? I'm going, I'm looking, and then I'm like, I'm like, Joseph, the mayor. I'm like, okay. I was like, I guess I can pull up his pod. I suppose. So, you know, I go all the way back to Hoonrath. I put in the number. I'm like, okay, this is the number. I'm like, this is the configuration I gotta put in. And I'm like, so that should be good. I pull up Joseph's pod, and I'm like, yep, there he is. Like, I was like, maybe he'll wake up or something. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what's special about Joseph's pod. And then once I pull up Joseph's pod, it starts playing some like kind of spooky music, you know? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, if just doing that activates this goddamn door and activates some sequence of events, I'm gonna be so mad. And so I run over here, and then the door just disappears. And the Villain says like a few things, like he makes his little noises thing, goes back to dying. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, so all I needed was that number. And then he just magically opens the door for me. Unlike every other door where I've needed to actually, you know, open it myself. So I was like, where's the logic in this? I was like, what was I supposed to do? Like, how was I supposed to figure out that that's the specific pod I had to look up, you know? So, naturally, I go to the internet to try to validate my anger on this. And then I come across the Steam thread that, you know, I assume most people will find when they look up, like, hey, like, how do I get through this? Or, like, what's up with the number? Or whatever. And I look into it, and I'm like, okay, so the number used to be on the screen, right? I knew that. And apparently a lot of people were having a bug where it didn't show up on the screen like this. And then, for whatever reason, Cyan was just like, let's take the number away altogether. And I was like, what? If you have, because they were like, you know, there's this bug that a lot of people are getting, but we can't seem to, we can't replicate it. So they're like, we don't really know how to fix a bug that we can't replicate. So they're like, let's get rid of it. And everyone's like, what the fuck kind of idea is that? Why would you get rid of it if it works for like some people? And, you know, developer in the thread is really given no useful information. He just keeps going like, you know, just keeps doubling down, being like, nope, that's what we decided to do. Like, we're not gonna change it back or anything, which, like, obviously it's been like four or so years since they changed it. And so I'm just like, well, why? I'm like, what's the logic I'm supposed to follow here to figure this out otherwise? And so I'm reading, and people are like, oh, you're supposed to be suspicious of the mayor's like recordings that you find randomly in the, you know, in the back of the structures and such, where he's being like, hey, stop, you're doing a bad thing, and you're supposed to look into his pod for that. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the mayor, man. Like, Joseph was just a funny little dude I saw on the recordings in Hoonrath, and I was like, okay, like, alright, I guess, you know, like, he was never, the only characters I actually, like, had in my mind that kept popping up was, like, CW or Farley. You know, everyone else, it was like, I don't care about you. And, you know, so it's like, the developers even said, like, oh, there should be, like, a new clue or something that they put in to arrive, you know, to drive you to that conclusion. And I don't even know if they put anything new in. But apparently, because I guess I missed this, when you get to here, or at least this world, the recordings, they don't have Joseph's, like, accent. Because he's got, you know, in the beginning, he's got a very obvious German accent. And now I guess he had like an American accent or something. And I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, I don't pay attention to accents as long as I can understand what's being said. Like, I literally don't think about that kind of thing, you know? I'm just like, ah, you speak English. I understand English. Like, my brain's like, let me process the things you're saying to me. So I didn't fucking pay attention to his accent being lost here. And even then, if I was aware, I would probably be like, oh, maybe he just lost the accent being, you know, it, like, for however long they were here with, you know, all these, I assume, largely American, accented English-speaking people. And so I'm like, people lose their accents? Like, that's not a wild thing. That's not a red flag for me. But, so I'm like, whatever. And apparently you also hear, like, the gunfire in the, I don't know if it was in the recordings or in the little TV screens. But I was like, shit, man, this whole game's a mystery. You arrive on this mysterious world and, like, you're trying to figure out the mystery. Like, I know shit's a little weird. I get it. Like, that makes sense. That, you know, maybe there's some gunfire. Like, people keep talking about, like, a war coming on, you know? Like, when I get told a war's coming on, I'm not gonna hear gunfire and immediately go, oh shit, what's that about? So, and then apparently there's also like a red flickering that implies that it's actually the Mofang using the disguise for Yosef. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't remember that. And here's another fucking thing. You can't replay the recordings on this planet. You can't go back to be like, huh, what did the mayor say to me? And all he says is like, you were doing a very bad thing. And even then, if you know, thinking back to it, I thought he had an accent still. But I guess I'm wrong on that. And I'm like, you know, also his grammar apparently is a little messed up because the Mofang don't fully understand it. And I'm like, bro, like, German and English have different grammars, so like his grammar being fucked up, that also doesn't mean shit to me. Like, you know, I talk to people like all the time and their grammar's not perfect and I'm not gonna correct them on it because I'm just like, I get what you're saying, like it's fine. So apparently they leave everything in this little area up to this book, the recordings you see, and then apparently the live thing on the little TV, I thought it was a recording, because again, the first time we see the mayor, it's a recording. So I'm like, there's nothing to think about here. Unless it was a projection. And, you know, I saw this was a human, but I can't tell that's Yosef. I'm just like, it's a, you know, blonde / brown haired human. Like, there's a very obvious Mofang looking gun, which I guess you're supposed to get that hint from looking here and being like, ah, there's a Mofang with a gun. Like, that's what they look like. But again, these civilizations have lived together for years, so I'm like, I don't know, maybe you just had that or something? Like, that doesn't mean shit to me that he's just a disguised Mofang. And yeah, so, and like everyone on Thread was just like, yeah, that makes no sense. Like, that's such a jump in logic to do that. You know, people tried to offer some helpful suggestions of like, oh, well, what if he scratches a number into the ground, or what if, you know, story-wise, like they highlight Yosef's name in blue, so it sort of stands out to you more. But people brought up good counterpoints where they're like, well, that wouldn't really make sense for the story because them highlighting Yosef's name in blue would imply like they knew an attack was coming and knew that they would not want the Mofang to read it, in which case why wouldn't they just stop the attack? So I'm like, okay, fair. And I think it was the same thing for like scratching at the number, where it would just be like, you know, if I came up as a Mofang, I could be like, oh, there's your number, haha. Like I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna get through your door. And they were just like, honestly, you know, one of the major, and there were a couple of suggestions that did make sense story-wise, but developers were just like, we're not gonna do that. So then that could open up a whole new can of worms of problems or whatever. And I'm like, but you're just leaving it to, you come across this scene of destruction and this one logbook, and then you have to pull up this one specific pod from everything else? And I'm like, that makes no sense, my man. And you know, I'm only a little angry due to how long it took me to finally give up. But I shouldn't have to run around in circles before I finally give up to be like, oh, this was the stupid fuck, you know. Again, I looked up the walkthrough and then I just saw the number and I immediately had cogs turning in my head. Like, I didn't look any further. You know, I didn't see like that number is responded to Joseph's pod. I was just like, okay, let me look up 222. Let me see whose pod that is. I'm like, oh, Joseph. I'm like, oh, that's the mayor. I remember that guy. And other people in the thread as well were just like, yeah, I didn't remember his fucking name. Like, why would I have cared? Anyways, I think a point I brought up earlier, the screens that you can't start those screens again because it's like a live recording or whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, you also have the projections and Hoonrath to watch those. But I didn't. I fucking destroyed those because I was like, oh, I could blow these up? Like, that's funny. So I'm like, let me watch these and then I'm gonna blow it up because it's kind of useless information to me of, you know, like, oh, welcome to our little town, haha. And I'm like, these are old recordings, and I'm like, clearly, if there's any clues in these, like, they wouldn't let me just destroy them. Surely not. And maybe, possibly, oh good. And now there's more yard work being done. Anyways, like, possibly you could put them back together, because I remember, where is it? Somewhere on here it talks about, or just on like some of the notes, it's like, oh, the laser that the villain made, like that can destroy Mofang devices. And it's like, it falls apart, but you can still just put them back together. But clearly, in this game, you can't do that. You can't just put it back together. So, I'm just furious, exhausted from rambling. And you know what? Just whatever. I'm honestly disappointed that it's like, no wonder everyone got stuck here. Because it's like, yeah, literally everyone was just, you know, even the people that looked up Yosa's pod, they weren't like, oh, this is how I get through the door. They were just simply like, oh, let me look at his pod. So it was just like random happenstance, and there was not one person I saw that was like, yeah, this was definitely a good decision to take out the number that gives the hint to looking up his pod. And yeah, everyone's just like, why does looking up this one pod get you through the door? Like that, you know, everything else so far has been great, you know. But this one puzzle, quote unquote, is just such bullshit. Anyways, and you know, I would maybe expect this from like a relatively, I guess a very unknown studio. I'd be like, oh, you know, maybe they put in a puzzle that didn't really make sense, and I'll just look it up. and then be like, ah, yeah, that was a weird puzzle. But you know, it's one of those things of like, you argue maybe I should have just looked up earlier, but it's like, I had no reason to believe that there wasn't going to be a relatively, you know, relatively obvious clue to sort of hint towards that. But I don't know. Anyways, that's more or less my rant. Hey, fuck you, bud. Okay, so that is an arm. Like, see, from this angle and how far away I am, I can't tell that's an arm. It just looks like this weird, like, little stump coming out of him. But now that I'm you know, if Yosef was, say, here, I'd be like, interesting. You know, that's a Mofang. Oh, also, the reason he opens the door after you open Yosef's pod is he's like, especially with the blue number, he's like, oh, you can see blue. You're not a Mofang. And so, and he's like, and you realize that I didn't actually kill Yosef. You know, he's kind of like, I'm on your side, you're on my side. You can go through the door. But yeah, now that I see it, I'm like, oh, that's clearly a Mofang arm. Like, clearly a little, you know, projection of Yosef and not actually him. But from here, it looks like his body is, like, cut off and it's just one solid-ish red mass. You know, I figured the little pixelation is, like, the singed flesh or whatever. But apparently not. So yeah, if I could piss on this thing, I would. I'm gonna blow myself up with this as well. Go on. There we go. That's the appropriate end to all this. Anyways, how's that play out now? Can I, Oh, cool. I got credits too. Anyways, I want to mess with that a couple of times and see if I can't actually swap super quickly. Let's see, can I activate this? No, can't activate that seed. Okay, yeah, so that goes off no matter what if you even walk near it. I was gonna just try running past it, see if I can activate the bridge or whatever, but I guess not. Whew, but yeah, now I'm charged, now I'm ready. Let's beat this goddamn game. Alright, so what we got? The path to the tree? Cool. That's so neat. Hey, a laser to destroy the device? That's also neat. Let's blow it up. Wow, I'm glad it was that easy. Okay, why... Hold on, why is my lighting so... Wait, was that... Oh, that is the game's music. Alright, hold on, my lighting is, like, really messed up. Which that happens sometimes for some reason. I think specifically in one of the Villain World swaps. Or no, it was back in Farley's house. That swap would, like, get weird lighting. Alright, I guess we're just blown out now. I don't know what happened, but I guess the lighting's just completely blown out. Oops. Anyways, let's open this door. Yeah, because obviously there were two doors, so I was like, has to be a way past one of them. Oh, I wonder if... Is that waking people up? Oh, well, can't get back there. But... Alright, let's get to that tree then. My trusty, this It's not the right pattern, but it always makes the bridge work. Alright. Before I go to the tree, anything else around here? Hey, sorry, bud. Sorry that you died to the one mofang, I guess. To be fair, they should have known, right? They should have known that it wasn't Joseph. Okay, so I can't go there. Alright, you know what? Let's get to this tree. I'm guessing you can't even go back to the pods or whatever. Alright, let's hope when I swap through the tree or something that my lighting will go back to normal. Because having this, like, I guess graphical glitch on top of everything now, it's kind of annoying. Maybe I can mess with some of the settings. Let's see. See, instead of a black screen, it makes my screen go red. Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why it looked like I was female. Because on the second game we made, I was like, sure, let's make the character female. Like, why not? Okay, let's try this. Let's apply. Is it still blown out? It's still not great. Okay. Well, we're almost done with this anyways. I think all we have to do is connect this and then get to the bleeder, so boom. Done. Ray's connected. They're all connected. Let's go see CW. Here, we'll watch this get all electric. Wow. Okay, but actually I want to try going in a swap, see if they'll, I don't know, maybe fix things. But you know, I also went to like the top of the tower and I was like, maybe something up here is supposed to click. It's basically nothing led to anything. I had a full understanding, kind of, more or less, up to that point of what was happening in the story and whatnot. Do I just need to... Maybe I need to quit, but I don't think that'll do anything. Alright, hold on. We're gonna quit out. We're gonna hope that this will fix the lighting. But yeah, with that connected, should I have access to the waterfall, or should hopefully get access? Then I'll be able to get to the bleeder. Alright, let's see. Please, please, please. I don't want to play the rest of this game super blown out. Oh, thank God the lighting is fixed. Okay. Oh, thank God. Ooh, had me worried there. Alright, well, I kind of know what I need to do, but let's talk to CW about it. Oh yeah, and I think there's two options. I guess you can either connect the battery or not connect the battery, depending on if you actually want to go back to Earth or not. Which we saw Earth looked a little... Well, it looked like it was kind of fucked up, but maybe that was just what I thought was supposed to be implied. Anyways, here we go. Access to the door. Perfect. Let's talk to CW. Here, we'll go with, I kind of want to go with not heading back first. Because we can do both endings, if it gives me that option. If it doesn't, then, well, I'll do it on my own. Yeah, I wanna try not going back first. Alright, CW, I've done it. I've connected. All the hearts after more hours than it should have taken.
There's one thing left. It's called the bleeder. Gotta stop it. It's draining the whole system. It keeps things under control, holding us back. Connections, tree, panels,
Go down your checklist.
battery, power levels. You trace that bleeder. If everything's connected, we'll be headed home.
I like that this all kind of relies on if you connect the battery or not. Also, yeah, in the title, the reason I have preaching to the choir is because, again, that whole rant, like, it seems like everyone else feels the same way. I didn't see anyone that was like, no, I think that's like a logical change to the game. Or like, it makes total sense. Alright, so there I can go through. Can I even put this back down? Nope. Okay. Just checking to see if there's anything else. Let's get the bleeder going. And yeah, I think I kind of understand how that works as well. The thing is, you gotta... The tree is sort of... Or I guess the bleeder is stabilizing the tree or something so that it can't mature. So you have to shut down the bleeder so that the voltage can basically go... the voltage can go up for the tree, and then we can force the tree to swap everything back. Alright. So that TNT is set. So let's pop this sucker. After such a long time. I don't know. I'll probably go back and look at the Joseph recordings just so I can be like, okay, like let's see how different it is. But again, I feel like I'll just be like, I don't know. That's one of those extremely subtle things that's just like, I don't know, Chief. If you don't pick it up, you're kind of just fucked. But whatever. Let's go back up. And let's watch this thing explode. And then let's Trixie W and not head back. Also this, I still don't understand. I guess this is for communication for whoever was in the garage. I don't know why this is here. Alright, everything looks connected. No one shows up on screen. Anyways, pop. Damn. What is... Okay, I was like, what is happening? Oh, it's the... Okay, it was this. I was like, the noise is coming from over here.
Not much left. Just waiting for all the natural way of things to happen now. Lots of folks left behind.
Oh.
But I reckon they've passed.
I hope everyone in the pause didn't die.
Oh, real well. Cars and legs. You can see how useful these tracks is to me.
Yeah, so with the battery not being connected. Hope he doesn't blow up.
Critters. Damn, unplugging my battery. We're going home. Not wherever.
So do these TVs just not display anything either?
Alright then.
Ah, here we go.
Power up my override. When the time comes, it works a lot like them little swappers.
Uh-huh.
They'll swap us home.
I assume I can't just... No.
You don't spend much time here, and that ain't a bad thing.
You would not believe the amount of time I spent here.
Fine folk. Some real
Yeah, so one thing I guess I didn't get kind of directly is like what, I guess why the Mofang were doing what they did. It seemed like most people were in the pods and whatnot, so. Alright. Let's watch this take us somewhere, I guess? To be fair, with the battery not connected, wouldn't that just mean that it shouldn't be able to turn on at all? Oh. Does he know? Yeah, don't let a stranger connect your devices for you.
Did you do this? Carving chance. I got no idea where we're headed now.
I like Carfin Chance. Let's find out, baby. Hey. New world. Neat. You know what? I'm glad they make you in the game in the tower so you can actually see. Oh. There's the other ones. Oh, sweet. This is the good ending. Damn, I hope nothing, like, rolls or falls down.
CW. Cecil.
Hey. Farley's up and about.
This is so incredible.
So this is what I was talking about with the garden and all. I guess was, like, us fully...
How many others?
We all made it.
I guess fully, like, interacting with each other and
Where
everything.
you are.
Cool.
I ain't going nowhere.
He's like, this is freaking me out too much. Can't do this. Damn, they had a solid, like, solid chunk for the Arai world. Man, I know I've already been, you know, on those worlds, but, or in those domes, but I kind of just want to go out and wander now, you know? Okay, I was like, am I actually gonna just be waiting? Okay, I was like, do I have to see Farley come in, or... Hey! We did it! Now it's go back to Earth. And we can call this a successfully done. And we'll see if the Mofang have like taken over, or if it, I don't know, just looked destroyed. Well, like, wasn't actually destroyed. Oh, thank God! I was like, can I actually get down from now? Alright, CW, wait. I didn't plug up the battery. Battery's not plugged up. Don't do it. I gotta start that thing. Just give me 1 second. I guess that's why he wanted to... I wonder if his legs were actually, like, shot or something. And if that's why he held up in there. Hold up in there? But I realized he also did leave that letter in Farley's house just being like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang out here. Or like in my own little spot, that way I won't get fucked up by anyone. Alright, it's all good. the obligatory point waster and waste your points. What more do you want? It is literally a nothing results from it point dump, yeah. Alright, let's go back to Earth. I don't even remember how much I set that for, to be honest. There you go. Goals. Alright, pop. Love the 2D fire. Alright, we'll wait for CW to get down there.
Almost there.
I just blew up the one thing that was keeping us here.
Real good. Not much left. Just waiting for all the
And now we're about to get the, I guess, neutral slash bad end.
folks left behind. But I reckon they've passed. I don't move real well, carving legs. You can see how useful these tracks is to me. Not sure what's getting into them crazy Capitar.
Yeah, these guys are good.
Unplugging my battery. We're going home.
I like to think that after this happens, CW's gonna be like, oh god, no, I was all wrong. I was wrong. We shouldn't have ever wanted to go home.
All right now, I'll power up my override when the time comes. It works a lot like the
I will say they're probably like, wait, no, turn off the battery. Don't do this.
You don't spend much time here, and that ain't a bad thing. But there were some fine folk.
Yeah, I guess with no word from anyone, I don't know. I feel like CW should have known what the plan was, but he just thinks everyone died.
I reckon you got the best seat in the house up there.
No, the plot of this game was more just like, we've been somewhat kidnapped by forces beyond our comprehension. And he's like, I want to go back home. Meanwhile, other main character was like, no, we should like accept it and we should interact with all these alien species and stuff. Something garden metaphor. Oh, so that's it. All powered up. So yeah, with this, we instead of going to a new world, should be going directly back to Earth. And well, yep. It was in fact destroyed and fucked up by the Mofang. Although, how'd they get out of the dome? Oh, or maybe it wasn't even the Mofang. Maybe it was humans did this. Kind of like Farley was talking about, of like, we all got taken right before, like, death, you know, a bunch of death occurred. So maybe just humans themselves destroyed their planet. Oh, sorry, bud. Technically, the other swaps are there, so we should still technically be able to go get everyone out of the pods and stuff, right? And we could always swap these back and then just do the same thing with the battery unplugged.
No. We were so close. We all made it. But most couldn't swap.
Oh, damn.
Is it too late? Oh, Cecil.
Cecil, you fucked up bad. Watch him blame it on me. Be like, it's your fault. It's your fault that this happened. Maybe we should have left, like, you know, there were like 3 of the villain aliens that were remaining. Maybe everyone should have had a partner. Like, someone should have been with CW to be like, no, let's stick to the original plan. Probably would have been the smarter thing to do. Generally. Oh, hey. That's approaching. Wow, who'd have thunk that for the past, like, 2 streams, I was actually this close to beating the game. Because I ranted for a good, like, half hour. So, it took me literally, like, no time to do all that stuff. Guess we'll just wait till the cloud envelops us. Take me. Take me, death. Block out the sun. Alright, cool. Well, abduction is done. And I am a little happy, I guess, that it's finished, but still disappointed that one puzzle, quote unquote. Let me think. Do I want to swap over to something else? Nah. But here's the plans for, I think, the rest of the week. So I'm thinking I'll do Armored Core tomorrow. And then I think on Saturday we'll do a science stream. Non-stop Calamity playthrough. Calamity the like game. Or as in like Terraria Calamity? Probably not today. Not today. Not when I don't have it all set up. But maybe off stream I do some Sons of the Forest. We'll see. But you know what? I'm just gonna. I quit. I didn't quit. I just got tired of trying to convince someone else to play every other day. The last boss that we stopped on, we could have beaten. As I said during my rant earlier today, I got so much determination, I don't quit easily. I would have kept going. But unfortunately, it's dead for the stream and it'll never come back. Maybe. Alright. I'm just going to outro here. Thank you to everybody that stopped by today. I hope you enjoyed seeing the end of Abduction. Yeah, like I said, Armored Core tomorrow. Science stream on Saturday. And, well, do I have plans for Saturday? Whatever stream I have after Friday, science stream. And yeah, it was a good time. Sorry it took me so long to just look up the answer for that puzzle. Alright. See you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day or night. Goodbye.